Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today we're going to be taking a look at just a little guy right here. This is none other than the Civivi Baby Banter. And wow, it is definitely a baby, but it is not a baby in terms of cutting. We will get to that in just a second. But first, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. If you like what you see, do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, follow along, and I will continue to bring you the content. And now let's get into some overall specs on this very little guy right here. We have an overall length of 5.46 inches with a blade length coming in at 2.34 inches and a cutting edge at 1.95 inches. We have a blade width right at 1 inch with a blade thickness of 90 thousandths with Nitro V steel, a drop point, kind of sheep's footy style blade, but I think a drop point is probably the correct term. A almost full flat grind, and a handle length coming in at just 3.12 inches, and a handle thickness at 410 thousandths. Now the handle width on this guy is coming in at 1 inch right at its widest point, with a handle material of G10, a liner lock locking mechanism with a user of right or left hand, tip-up carry, a weight at 2 ounces, and it really don't even quite feel like 2 ounces. Designed by the one and only Ben Peterson, formerly of Blade HQ, but I think it's getting to the point as people get into the knife industry. Ben's been out of Blade HQ for a while now, and I think now he's been successful enough to where he's just Ben Peterson, knife personality and knife mind within the knife industry. He's done a really good job of building his own brand outside of Blade HQ. Granted, he had a lot of exposure to start with, but you can still very easily fail at doing something like that after you leave a place like Blade HQ. He's been pretty popular, and he's come out with some very unique items, from knives to posters to EDC gear that has been really well received by the community, so it's been pretty cool to see. The price on this guy is coming in at $59.50. No issue whatsoever there. We'll discuss it as we go through the review here, but $59.50, I'd pay it all day, especially if you're a person that likes small knives. I don't think you're going to be disappointed with this. You may be a little surprised though, because when you get it, it's just smaller than you would even think. Let's do some size comparisons, and I've got some small knives that are going to look big next to this. Here we have the Civivi Odium, one of my favorite smaller knives ever, and wow, yeah. Here we have another one of my all-time favorites, the CRKT Pilar, Jesper Voxness design. There it is, looking bigger than the Baby Banter, and they're both considerably bigger than the Baby Banter. But one thing that these all have in common is an excellent blade. An excellent blade for such a small knife. And I got two other knives to throw up here and compare with it. I don't have any knives outside of this one that's that small. Here we have the CJRB Mylea, which is, again, my favorite all-time fifth pocket knife. As of now, it's getting some competition from the Baby Banter. I've never been able to say that about another small knife. This one is rivaling the Mylea. I can't say it's there yet, but it's on her heels. It's on her heels here. We have the Kaiser Lieb as well, which is another pretty small knife, but again, one that is considerably longer than the Baby Banter. And I do have one other. I just thought of it. Let me pull it out here. Here it is. Yeah, I do have one knife smaller than the Baby Banter. Let me get these knives out of the way here, and we'll take a look at that. And as you can see, here we have, there we go, the Ferrum Forge Micro Fortis. Finally, a knife that is smaller than the Baby Banter. As you can see, the Baby Banter just dwarfs the Micro Fortis. So there you go. There's some size comparisons. Hope that gave you a giggle. But now let's take a closer look at this knife here. And what you have is probably the most innocent looking blade ever that happens to be a slicing beast. We have an edge reading coming in at 14 thousandths behind the edge of this guy. You combine 14 thousandths with a 90 thousandths thick stock blade, And that is a recipe for slicing greatness. You just don't have a lot of edge, but you have enough to have a very, very effective cutter. A lot of the times when we're opening packages, when we're cutting paper, when we're doing a lot of our EDC tasks, we only need like this much of the blade at the most, sometimes just like this much. So you have more blade than you think here, and you have a very, very small, compact knife to tote around with you. The drop pointy, sheep's footy-ish style blade, in my opinion, is just an excellent blade for a small knife. The only thing that may be better would be a Wharncliffe, but again, it's because of the whole fact of you're just using the tip a lot of the times. But regardless, excellent blade shape for this knife. I love, love, love how the choil flows from the blade into the handle. This is a knife that may very well be the best ergos on a small knife I've ever felt. It is rivaling really only these two knives right here, the Pilar and the Odium that you saw earlier. But again, these are bigger knives, so we're talking a smaller knife, and you're still having this just ever so satisfying grip on this knife. And guys, I have a rather big hand. It's not huge, but it's definitely bigger than average, and it just feels so damn good. No issues there whatsoever, and a lot of it is because of that choil. And you have some very interesting jimping here, some very nice jimping on the lower choil area, and then excellent jimping on the spine. So you have everything you need for a rock solid grip on this knife. Love the detail they did on that choil there with that jimping. I also like the makeup of this. I like the kind of the battle or acid wash blade with the gold thumb studs and the OD green G10. Excellent combination there. Would have looked a lot nicer if the Civivi was blacked out to where you still have your branding, but it's blacked out. I think that would look a little cooler, but regardless, I'm not going to kick it too hard for that. I really love the way this knife was set up. I like the little details. I like the color combo. A lot of good things about this knife. And I've already kind of touched on the handle and ergos because of the choil, but the ergos are phenomenal. They are just phenomenal. In all honesty, this feels like Ben teamed up with Jesper Voxness and collabed on this one, because this really does feel like a Vox design, but it looks like a Ben Peterson design, especially if you saw the first Banter, which was very similar to this. Very, very interesting combination of what you feel in hand and what you see. It's a beautiful thing. It definitely kind of melts and just becomes part of your hand. The only thing that would make this knife maybe slightly better is contoured scales. These are flat G10 scales. So if these were contoured, that would be absolutely incredible. But even as is, I mean, in all honesty, I don't know if it's even worth going through the trouble of making contoured scales, because I like it so much as it is. It's more of I would like it. I don't even necessarily need it. Kind of want it, but again, I'm happy just to have this as is. It's a very, very good overall package as is. And another thing that I found very surprising about this knife in hand, it's very solid. You don't have any flex in the handle whatsoever. You have a very nice lockup with that liner lock, and it just feels, maybe it's because it's that small. That could be it too. It's so small, it doesn't have any room to flex. But it just feels like a little tank, even with G10 and a thin blade. I'm a very big fan of the feel in hand, because it feels super solid, but it's also very light. So it's an excellent combination. Going into the action on this guy, it's typical Civivi action, but this is a little trickier, and it's not because the action's bad, it's because it's so small, and it's got thumb studs, and you really, especially if you have smaller hands like me, you have to really, this clip comes in very clutch on this. And again, this is not your typical Civivi run-of-the-mill clip. This is the Banter clip. It may be a little shorter than the original Banter, but it's very, very similar, actually identical to it overall. Do I have it somewhere? I do have it somewhere. It would take me too long to pull it out. But you got to position your thumb in the right spot and just kick that blade out, and it really is a fantastic action. I haven't took this apart either. This one has not been disassembled out of the box. Very nice to middle finger flick, but as you can see, what I have there, I have my ring finger pushed up against the clip. I have my thumb kind of laid out. It's a different grip I get on the knife to kick this blade out as compared to other knives with thumb studs that I middle finger flick. But as you can see, you got that middle finger flicking. Whoop. Okay. Tricky. I'm still learning. You got that middle finger flick with the thumb studs. You also have the kicking out with the regular thumb studs with your thumb. And then another way to deploy this knife that's very nice is the index flick. As you can see right here. Very, very nice there. That might be my favorite way to deploy it because as of right now, it's my most surefire way to deploy it. It's just kind of, I think it's because of how easy it is to get it in that position, and it's just how it positions it in your hand. You kind of just cover it up with your thumb, get your index finger right behind it. Even when you have virtually no fingernails like me, it works very well to just kick that blade out. So a lot of different ways to deploy the blade. It's rather fidgety. I think when you get more comfortable with it, it'll become even more fidgety. But again, it's a small package, and you really have to get used to it. But it's a small package that still has all that Civivi feel and quality, and it's really just a very well-rounded overall package. And even a small blade, you get into that liner lock access, which is very easy, by the way. And I love where they put it too. It's perfect location. You press it in, the blade falls shut, and then it falls down. Let me rephrase that. The blade falls down, and then you just shake it shut. And it shakes shut pretty easily. So, very smooth action for shut. Okay, let me regroup here. Very small action for such a small blade. There we go. And it's just very smooth. Falls shut, no issue whatsoever. Overall thoughts on this guy are very good. I was expecting to like this one. I'll be honest. I was definitely expecting to like it, but I didn't think it would be rivaling the Milea in terms of my favorite fifth pocket carry. And I also didn't think it would have ergos as good as the Pilar or the Odium for that matter. So this has been a very, very big surprise for me. I'm late to the party on reviewing this one. It came out last year, and to be honest, I just wasn't very excited about it. And then I got it in hand and things changed. So yeah, if you're looking for that good fifth pocket knife, one that would be a true great EDC fifth pocketer, this is a very, very good option. Compared to the original Banter, I was a big fan of the original Wii Banter. If you guys haven't seen my review, look it up. Just search Wayne Sharp World Banter. It'll pull it right up. I liked it. It was a very, very good first design out of the gate for Ben, but I do like this one better. I'm very surprised to say it, mainly because it's half the price of the original Banter, with better ergonomics, great materials, and top-notch quality, especially all packed into a budget knife. It's very hard to knock this knife unless you just hate small knives. If you hate small knives, then yeah, you're not gonna like this. But if you like small knives, this is a stud. It's a home run. It's a fantastic knife, one I would definitely recommend. And they just came out with a couple new color suits, flavors. We'll call it flavors. A couple new flavors for it. This is one of the new ones actually, the green and gold with the acid wash. Then they also have kind of like a burgundy dark red handle with just regular studs and the acid wash, which is very nice. Then they also have the original colors it came out with. So a lot of options and flavors to pick from this guy. I do think you would enjoy it. If you like small knives, you guys got to check this one out. This is the Civivi Baby Banter. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And until the next one, I'm out.